All right, thank you so much. And thank you for everybody. Say it again.
Who do we want?
Who do we want?
Nance!
Who do we want?
Nance!
Who do we want?
Nance!
When do we want them?
Now!
When do we want them?
Now!
That's what I'm talking about. So, for those of you who may not know me, I'm Barry Cooper. I'm an educator, activist in this community. I grew up on Lexington and Marcus Garvey. When I first touched down on Lexington and Marcus Garvey, 25 was my first school. My second school was 57. Third school, Boys and Girls High School. I've been a byproduct of this community. This community has shaped me, and it's a deep passion of mine to be here because when I was younger, I remember Mr. Norris in junior high school 57, and that was probably the only black male educator that I seen. So when Mr. Mims came and he got into leadership by way of Chancellor David Banks, we all knew instantly that we got something. We got a man who had integrity, who had a passion, who had a vision, and not only did he have those things, he was tangible. And what that means is that when he got into office, his team came, they seen the gaps, they seen the holes, and they started to fill those things, and it was snatched from him. And that is just so disheartening on so many levels that we continue to push forward. And in D16, in this community, we were one of 3 districts, school districts across New York City that moved in almost every area you could think of academically and socially. And for him to be removed without, in my opinion, rhyme or reason, whether you want to call it a personnel issue or not, that is not what we stand for here in Bedford-Stuyvesant and Crown Heights. We know what we want. We are an intelligent community, and we cannot continue to be always put in a position where we got to decide who we want as our leadership. Once we pick them, we want to cultivate our leaders, not have them removed like they mean nothing. So you're going to hear me again. I'm going to keep the energy going for us, but we cannot do this without prayer. So we're going to bring up our pastor so she can kind of like set tone. And Brother Mims actually needs it right now because he's not really, 100% emotionally. He did not know that this was going to happen. He knew that he had rumblings, but he did not know. So right now he's sitting home trying to like really make hard decisions. So we just want to pray for him in this moment.
Let us pray. Father God, in the name of Jesus, as we stand here on Maundy Thursday, we look to you. You're the author, you're the finisher of our faith. You said, if my people, which are called by my name, humble themselves and pray and seek your face. Lord, we've come as a community, Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, and extended, to ask for your mercy, your grace, your guidance, your comfort. We lift up our Superintendent Mims to you. Lord, you know him. You know all about him. You know the man, the character, the love and the concern that he has for children and families and community. And so we'd ask the Comforter to ease his heart, his mind, and let him know that you've got this in the palm of your hand. Lord, we'd ask that you would have us to understand that we've got a job to do and that we've been called into the kingdom for such a time as this.
Yes.
And so we look to you, the author and finisher of our faith. We look to you, the great I am. We know that you can do anything but fail. And so we stand on your word. We stand on your word, knowing that all things do work together for good. And we will not stop. We will not move. We will not be silent until justice is done. We give you glory, honor, and praise. In Jesus' name, amen and amen.
Amen. So the next voice that you're gonna hear is from a staunch advocate for many years in our community. She's our state assembly member of the 56th Assembly. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Zimmerman.
Yeah. Good evening, family. Thank you all for being here. Just for the purposes of anybody that's not here, I am New York State Assembly member Stephanie Zimmerman, and I proudly represent Bedford-Stuyvesant and Crown Heights in the State Assembly. We are here today because we are a community of faith, but we are also a community of leaders, and we are a community who loves our children and our families, and we center them in all the things that we do. So when we got our third superintendent, since I've been in public service, there were two others. I will tell you, he was not my vote. I voted for someone else because they were from Brooklyn. Because Brooklyn is not an easy place to traverse if you don't have relationships and if you don't have any sort of knowledge of how we move. Schools are not isolated places in our district that just take up real estate. They are an integral part of who we are, and the leaders in the buildings are people that we trust. But from the time that Superintendent Mims showed up, we had conversations and we started to build based on the vision that he had for this community. Empathy. You have to be able to look around and understand what people are going through in order to serve them. Excellence. I want to set a high bar for excellence for our children so that they can aspire to be anything. And he's done that with each and every one of you. Your help, your coming into the buildings and modeling what it is to be a strong citizen, and not in the word of whether or not you were born here or not, but somebody who shows up as a community steward and is a part of this community and understands the role. Equity. How long has this district been defunded, disenfranchised, marginalized, not having the resources that is needed? But those of us who are elected do what we can every single day to make sure that we pull those dollars out of the federal government, out of the state government, out of the city government, so that our children can thrive. And then lastly, engagement. Understanding that in order, again, for our children to thrive, for our schools to improve, everybody in the community needs to be engaged. So today I'm looking around and we have people of faith. We have people who are our parents, people who are teachers and administrators, former teachers, elected officials, business owners, community-based organizations. This is Bed-Stuy. And in Bed-Stuy and in District 16, we lead. And so we are leading this effort to say that we get to choose who our educational leaders are. We get to choose who leads our CBOs. You know why? Because we sit on boards and make those decisions. We get to choose who runs our hospitals. We get to choose. As long as we are engaged and we step up, we get to choose. So I want to hear from other voices, but I just want to give you a little bit of a timeline. Last year, I started getting emails, being copied on emails between the parent leadership to the superintendent. So I knew something was going on. Something was brewing, right? Because I'm being copied on emails that I don't really, that's not my day-to-day. It's something that maybe the councilman would be involved in because it's city business, right? But not necessarily the state. So I knew something was going on. I'm not a passive-aggressive person, and so I made 2 phone calls. I called the superintendent and I called the CSC and I said, what is going on? And both gave their perspectives about what was going on. But then I started getting calls from community people, right? I thought everything was going well. We've got a great, we moved our scores. The children are happy. People are partnering in our schools. Schools are robust. Things are happening. Why is this happening? And so this year, I had a conversation with the new chancellor. I called and I asked for a meeting. That meeting took place last Wednesday. And I started the meeting saying that I wanted to know from her what she thought student success looked like, what his leadership looks like, who does she believe are the community stakeholders in Bed-Stuy? And she answered me. But I also said to her that given where we are in this time, when President Trump has dismantled the Federal Department of Education, has threatened to make sure that we don't get money, not only for education, but so many other things. When it's in the state right now, we still have not passed the budget that was due on April 1st, that the city council, the mayor's office, the borough president, and the CEC are all running for office, why would we remove a superintendent through all of that chaos? But that's not just it. Because the removal happened on Monday. What was Monday? Spring break. So now we don't have any eyes to see. There's no principals in the building. I'm in Albany. Your people are on break. So you say goodbye to one and hello to another. And what kind of reception is this person going to get in our community if people are upset about what has happened to their beloved superintendent? So we're setting two people up for failure. Two people that we know and that we love up for failure. Because why? On yesterday, we heard as elected officials that they're going to go through the C-37 process. Does everybody know the C-30 process? 37 process? That's the process that you go through to elect or to appoint another superintendent, right? It's going to take them 6 weeks to get that process started. 6 weeks from now, or yesterday, is May 27th. That means between May 27th and the end of the school year, there has to be resumes reviewed by DC Rux, Deputy Chancellor Rux. Then there has to be a community town hall where we all show up and look at these candidates and hear from them and make a decision. And then the chancellor gets to make the final decision. That's the C-37 process. So why would we be doing that? Why remove him now under the cloak of darkness with nobody in the building as opposed to just waiting? Because we know that he didn't do anything that was against the law or against policy, because they wouldn't have given up another job. He has a job offered today. He is still within the DOE family. So there's no explanation other than the fact that it's a personnel issue and they cannot share it with us. So I ended the meeting with her on Wednesday asking for a couple of things. One, that we have an independent person who will come and do some truth and reconciliation, because clearly communications have broken down. That there be some transparency in finding out exactly what it is in his record that caused him to be removed.
Yes.
And then finally, that there should be a representative group like you all that become the District 16 education stability group. Because we have every 3 years selected somebody who was supposed to be the greatest leader for this community, only to then for that person to leave or be pushed out. And so here we are again. So I'm not here to talk about how I feel. I'm sharing with you all the facts of the matter. Right? And I don't really feel like rallying and chanting. It's necessary because I know that excites people. But for me, at this moment, I am fed up and I am so disappointed in the administration for making this decision at this time and not centering our children and our families. I don't know what to do. And so the only thing we can do is take it to the streets until they hear. She has to reverse this decision. It was a poor decision. People make mistakes. Just admit that you didn't have all of the facts, right? You didn't hear from all of the people. You didn't do your due diligence. And just reverse it. And if she can't make that decision on her own, I need Mayor Adams to make that decision for her. He's got the power to reverse this. She needs to send him, he needs to send her here to say mea culpa and then replace and bring back Mims. That is it. That is final. That is all that I am going to focus on from here on out. Today, tomorrow, and next week. You all got the toolkit? Yes?
Yes.
I am asking you to commit today to do whatever it is that you can do. Write your letters, write your emails, go on social media, show up to the door, call on the phone. But we have to, in this moment, stand up for this community. Because I will tell you, this is going to say a lot about us if we allow this to happen. And more importantly, it's going to telegraph to city, state, federal, and globally that we can protect and take care of our own. And anybody can come into our community and do what they want to do without explanation, without proof, without data, because we have the data and we have the facts. And so our love for this community, our commitment to our children is all we need to be focused on. When people call you on the phone and say, oh, this is don't listen to that. Ask them, what have they done for the children in District 16? How have they helped a child read in this community? How have they helped a child solve math? How have they helped a child, a 10-year-old, fly a plane? That's not happening in any other community right now that looks like ours. And so we got to think about, why is that happening absolutely right now? When so much is happening and so much is happening and our children are being elevated and we're working together. As soon as that happens, what happens? Somebody seeks to destroy it.
That's right.
And so you can't let that happen. I'm not going to let that happen. Let's keep the pressure on and let's do what? Let's bring back
men. Bring back men. Bring back men. Bring back men. Bring back men. All right, so I hope that we're very intelligent people, like the Assembly member said. We know what our marching orders are. We got to be calculated. We got to be intentional about this work. The next voice I'm going to bring up is our youngest leader, a thriving force in this community. He information, his TikTok, and he will give you the world. But he is passionate about this work. He has been asking a lot of the tough questions as well. Ladies and gentlemen, our council member, Chiose.
Thank you, Barry, and to all the organizers that put this together. For those of you that did not hear Barry, I'm New York City Councilmember Chiose. I represent Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights in the City Council. And when you really peel back a lot of what is taking place here, they're talking a lot about performance, they're talking about personnel, but what they're not providing, not only to you all, but to your elected officials, is transparency. No due process. No answers to why this has taken place, right? If you're going to remove someone, for whatever reason it may be, you should let the process take place. You should let the community in on what is going on because it impacts each and every single one of you and your children as well. When we were told about this removal of Superintendent Mims, it was a couple days ago, and then that same day, 20 minutes before a meeting, they wanted us to hop on a call and tell us the exact same thing that they told us before. We pressed them for questions, we asked them why this has happened, and they said they couldn't tell us anything. Not only is that disrespectful to us, right? It's disrespectful to all of you. We demand answers, we demand transparency. It's the least that they can provide us. And as the Assembly member just said, we already see so much destabilization happening within our city and all of our institutions. Testing is coming up in a couple of weeks, right? It's spring break right now. Removing leadership without answers is dead wrong. And if you saw this in any other community, God forbid this happened in Parksville. It wouldn't happen in Parksville. So we can't let it happen here. And that's why I will continue to press the chancellor. We will continue to press the mayor to provide us with answers. If you cannot provide us with those answers, then something needs to change and our superintendent needs to be reinstated. So thank you to each and every single one of you who's been out here today. What we're doing is holding their feet to the fire. We can't let them get away with this, right? Without providing us the transparency that we deserve. It's the respect that we need. I believe everybody here paid taxes not too long ago this week, right? We pay for these people's salaries. The least they can do is give us the answer. So thank you so much to all the organizers. Let's keep the pressure on. Thank you.
Bring back men! 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 The next voice we're going to hear has been in New York City education for probably all of my life when I'm young, even though I got a white beard. But he is such a revolutionary. He cares about education so much that he took the leap to create a Black Studies curriculum that Brendan Mims is probably the one and only school
Yeah.
in Brooklyn, or a few others, but he made sure that not only did the curriculum happen, but it is actually thriving in our community. And he is the CEO and founder of Black Ed Influencers, Dr. Shango Blake. Your queen, too. Love.
Yes, I gotta give that to Queen. Don't do that. So let me just say that I represent over 300 Black educators, parents, superintendents, community leaders, and electeds, all under one organization. Our vision is that we serve Black educators, we influence others, and we impact Black children. And we are deeply concerned about systemic inequities in our schools. In fact, the organization was created for moments and times just like this. When you have a superintendent who is improving student outcomes, who is connecting and reaching out to the community, and who's making a difference in the lives of our children, that person, that leader, should not be attacked and then removed. You know, the system is not broke. It is in rotation. So every time you get someone who is vested in the interest of our children, somehow the system removes them. And then ultimately the people who make the decisions at the top of the system, somehow they fail up. So you have a situation where people have failed up and are now taking action against someone who's making improvement and improving student outcomes. As was said before, Superintendent Mims was a partner with BU and the EEAPC around the Black Studies curriculum. In fact, the work was so great in this district that we had educators from London come to District 16 to see the Black Studies curriculum in action. So not only was he making changes, but he was actually getting international attention for his district. So again, we are big time supporters of Superintendent Mims. In fact, we are honoring him and have planned to honor him at our BU Black Studies Gala for the work that he's been doing in this district. So we must bring him back. We must not in this moment allow this to go by quietly. And I would say this to every superintendent in New York City. If a superintendent who has made improvement in his school district can be that easily removed, then you must understand that it is open season on all
That's right.
superintendents.
That's right. That's right.
Lastly, you heard about the C-37 process, where that was a process that was put in place to have more community input in who becomes the superintendent of a particular district. Superintendent Mims went through the process. So here's the question I have. If he went through a process, and he did, and the community weighed in, and they did, and they chose him, and the community is out here today, and they still choose him, then why do we got to go through a C-37 process twice? Thank you.
Before I bring that single member back up, I just want to piggyback off of something that a good brother Blake mentioned. One of the things that baffles me is that when you look at the landscape of education, one of the things that we always say is no black male representation. No black male representation. I mean, the most that you unfortunately will probably see us as school safety officers, cooks in the kitchen, or custodians, and all of those jobs are very essential to a thriving school community. But if there's no representation of black male educators in our classrooms, then if you did the math, then there has to be a shortage of black male leadership. So when they remove, or they say that they're going to remove the good brother Mims out of this position, the role that they want to give him is in the suspension hearing center. So, if we have to think about education, and we have to think about the number and the demographic of individual who is sent to a suspension center, who is it more likely, ladies and gentlemen, to be? Say it again. Now, I ain't saying, you said it. That didn't come out of my mouth, that came out of your mouth. And y'all all said it in unison, unfortunately, like a choir. So we're going to send a black male educator, leader, to now have to make decisions for black males being ostracized out of education. How demeaning and degrading and emasculating could you get? Fuck the process. The system is designed for people operate the system.
That's right.
So if you make a determination on, yo, you know what? We're going to remove you out of this district because we think we got somebody better. Why don't you make them deputy? Why don't you move them up? Literally, in the whole entire New York City, only 3 districts
Say it.
move forward.
Right.
And Bedford-Stuyvesant District 16 was one
One
of
of them.
And they don't.
Right.
them. We're going to clap. You can clap that.
Out of the city.
So the question that we need to continue to ask our black male mayor, Eric. Yeah, everybody say Eric.
Eric.
What the hell is going on?
What?
How could we allow black men who historically in the media, in our communities, always look frowned upon, and we finally get one who's not full of fluff.
Exactly.
He's not a misogynist. He ain't in here touching our sisters.
Yeah.
He is actually doing the work, and we allow the mayor to allow him to go to a suspension center where we never see him. I've been in education for over a decade. I still don't know where a suspension center is. That's disgusting. So if that doesn't piss you off, what will?
Right.
If that doesn't make you upset, what will? Because we will never see Mims again if he goes to that suspension center. Because if he's a man like I'm a man, I'm not going there. I'll give it up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look at black boys in their most apathetic state and I have to make the determination on whether they go back to school, because if I send them to school, I can't protect them and somebody's going to be there waiting for them to send them back to me. We cannot let that happen.
We
At all.
won't let it happen.
We will not let it happen. So I'm going to digress. I'm going to give the floor back to our assembly member, because there's people in the audience that she wants to come up to share their thoughts, parents and things like that. But we gotta bring back Mims. Yeah. Everybody repeat after me. Bring back Mims. Bring back Mims. Bring back Mims. Bring back Mims.
That's right.
We're going to shift for a moment. I'm going to ask Kofi Osei to come up from Asasaya. Then we're going to have Angela Moses come forward. Parents, if you want to, and I just want you to also be very clear. When we sent this out on Monday, we did not ask any personnel from the schools to come. Because if you could do this, then retaliation would be the next step for you all, and I did not want anybody to put their job on the line.
Right.
Some people came anyway, and we appreciate their bravery and courage. But if you don't feel comfortable, you do not have to come to the mic. But if you got a story to tell about Mims, if you got a story to tell about this district, we want to hear from you. So we're going to hear from this brother who's doing amazing work in the community. We're going to talk to Dr. Angela Moses over here, and then we'll move forward, because I want to hear from our business owners as well.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want us to remember some names. Some people might know them, others might not. Michael Hooper, G2AUC,
Yes. Alvin. Community Right Schools. Sam Penn.
Sam Penn, boys and girls. Mickens. Dr. Mickens,
Yeah.
right? We gotta remember those names because those were strong black educators right here in this community. Very strong black educators. 25 years ago, I was teaching at this school, teaching drumming at this school. When Mickens came into office, we saw the name come up. And my wife, who also teaches in this district, said, oh, we went to Dr. Lennox's program together, Science Skills. I got to give him a call and congratulate him. And we was all excited. And I had a conversation with him, and he told me he was moving the district office over here, but the school wasn't doing so good. I said, you know, I was teaching drumming in this school 25 years ago, and I had these kids rocking their hair, loving it, and they didn't get in trouble because they wanted to drum. So he said, let's bring it back. The principal that was here at the time didn't want the drumming here. She wanted to focus on what she was calling education. But sometimes our kids move to a rhythm. That's why I do what I do. They move to a rhythm. And when they move to a rhythm, it brings them into a place where they could think, where they could move in their best foot forward, right? But Mickens understood that. That principal's not here anymore because she wasn't about community. And Mickens was, not Mickens, Mims. Because he gives me the energy of Mickens.
Yeah.
If you know about Bed-Stuy, because I grew up in Bed-Stuy, before Mickens was in Boys and Girls, you were scared to walk down Fulton Street on that block.
That's right. Facts.
He shut that down. So when you come back to these schools and you see the work that Mims was doing for the community, for the culture, it's a high disappointment of what we're seeing today. Partnering with District 16, I did this year. We offered completely free in-school programs to 3 schools because that's what we could afford, to 3 schools in District 16.
Yeah.
And he pushed it. And they had their art hung up at our festival in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And the children got to come and see, and the parents got to come and see, and they felt great. And it was so many kids that were in the district that were also being attacked because we understand that the whole immigration crisis was a big attack, right? But they was welcomed into this community. They was welcomed into these schools. Right? They were welcome. This is not something just made up. I'm not here. If he wasn't a good person, we wouldn't be here. If he wasn't a great educator, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here. We would say, okay, sayonara, let's bring in the right person. And I want everybody to understand those words, impact. Because everybody that I named in the beginning, they had impact on this community. And so does Mims. And can't nobody tell us how we need to measure success. Get out of here. Because if you look at the data said it was successful. Right? The data said it's successful. But when if me and you don't get along, but we're doing the right thing, we don't take care of it this way, not in our community. So yes, let's bring back Mims.
Bring back Mims!
Let's bring back the energy of Dr. Lennon. Let's bring back the energy of Dr. Mickens. Let's bring back the energy of G2AUC. Let's bring back the energy of these great black educators that were right here in Bed-Stuy. And the ones that's here, that's not afraid, right? They're not afraid. One thing, last thing I'm gonna say, I grew up in Bed-Stuy on Gates Avenue, right? And we've seen a change in Bed-Stuy. We've seen a change. I feel a lot more comfortable with my children walking around, things like that. Everybody, you can understand what I'm saying, right? I was never afraid of my people, but we had some things going on here. And when we start to see the dedication of the men, of the men that are here, we have to big that up. We have to lift that up. We have to keep going. My company is not there. We're going, next year is our 25th anniversary, and we've always been right here in Bed-Stuy. And I look at all of the brothers here that we connect at all times. If they call me, I'm here. Marlon called me, Barry called me, we there. And I'm bringing the children with me, right? We there. So we can't allow this to keep going, right? Let's put this on TV, this show that people are promoting black excellence through black men as well.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to our assembly gentlemen and all of the other wonderful, wonderful people out here with your big titles. so glad to meet all of you. I represent parents. Working in school buildings, talk to teachers, and the teachers complain about the parents. Talk to parents, parent complains about the teachers. So, a couple years ago, I call her the mayor of Bed-Stuy, Principal Gates, and she's the one with the aviation plan. And we came up with this idea to have the Parent Leadership Society that started in her school. And our first graduation class was at Antioch Baptist Church. A couple years later, we moved into CS21.
Camera.
And they're on their third year of leadership training. So, and they graduate. They start in October, they graduate in June, and they get their sweater, their jacket, or their coat. And we all have nicknames in the program. So over here's Hollywood, and she has on one of her first year sweaters, and she'll be getting her jacket this coming June. Now, Superintendent Mims did everything in his power to show up at all of our leadership trainings.
Yeah.
He wanted to see what we were doing.
Yeah.
What type of training were we being engaged in? Who was facilitating the training? And when he got there and noticed that there were fathers in the training, once a month on Wednesdays from 8:30 to 10, you couldn't get in the room. Parents were excited to be a part of the school culture.
Yes.
Many parents are intimidated about going to school because, you know, I tell them to wear your church clothes because you won't fight so much, right?
Yeah.
Come in your jeans and sneakers. So, but they know now that I get to share with them what some of the teachers are saying, how they can be helpful to the teachers, and then I get to tell the teachers in PD how they can be helpful to the parents, because everybody brings something to the table. So Principal Mims loved the idea so much that he wanted it in every school in District 16. And we were far on our way to do that. We were on our way. And now all of our parent leaders are now leaders. The goal is each one teach one. Parenting is the hardest job on the planet. Some days we get it right, some days we mess it all up. But it's okay. And what I tell my parents is, whatever you don't like doing, that's why we got these other parent leaders here. Because some parents are not good at homework. They're like, you're not paying attention in class, and they smack the kid upside the head, you wasn't listening. No, if you don't like doing homework, you don't have to do homework. We have another parent leader who loves doing homework with kids, and that person would help you to help raise your kids. What am I saying? Mims was on to something.
Yes,
he
was.
understood how our schools were so powerful. And the enemy doesn't come after anything that doesn't have worth or gain. So they knew. And I'm telling you, if they had done this during school, just like Martin Luther King, we'd have kids out here, parents out here, and they would be letting the world know that we need to do this thing together. But I am still so excited how our elected officials, this is the first time I've seen this, where the elected officials have taken the bullhorn and say, we're not going to stand for this. We are a community, and we are going to get this done. I don't know how, but faith is all that I have, right? And faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I can't see it, but I believe it. And I know that God is going to bless Superintendent Mims. Thank you.
Bring Mims back!
Bring back Mims! Bring back Mims! Bring back Mims! Bring back Mims! Bring back Mims!
Yes. Let's go, D16!
Good evening, everyone. First, we want to thank everybody for coming out here tonight. My name is Shalonda Vasquez. I'm a business owner on Ralph Avenue. I'm also the vice president of Ralph Avenue Businesses. But first and foremost, I'm a parent.
Yes.
And I'm outraged. If you're a parent, you should be outraged as well.
Yes.
Because you was blindsided.
Yeah.
They blindsided you.
Right.
And I'm emotional about this because one thing Brandon Mims is, he's about the community.
Yeah.
Right.
When he first started his tenure, he came to Sophia and Grace Cookie Company. The first thing he asked me is, what do you need? how can I help you? But you know how some people come one time? He
Right.
kept coming back.
That's it.
Yeah.
And he kept helping us.
Yeah.
And we started our Ralph Avenue businesses. He came to Chase Bank and he sat with all the business owners and told them how they could become DOE vendors. And he didn't just come and sit and leave. He came and he stayed the duration of the meeting. The meeting ended like 9:30 at night. And he stayed. He met with everybody. He's community.
Yeah.
He's about his business. And we cannot be blindsided anymore. Enough is enough. And if you're a parent, you should be outraged just like I am. These are our children. They mess with our kids. One thing you don't do is you don't mess with people's kids.
That's right.
So,
Right.
Chancellor Aviles, you messed with our kids. You messed with my kids. You don't mess with Sophia.
Right.
And tonight, we are here to fight. We're going to keep fighting until Brendan Mims is back in his position as superintendent. Thank you all for coming out today.
Y'all can keep going. We gotta put a little humor in it because the energy is really high. And Chase, you want to say something else?
I forgot to say, Pastor Waterman is having a prayer service on Sunday. The church is Antioch Baptist Church, and I want to say thank you to Principal Gates, who's been so instrumental in this whole situation. Every principal, a lot of principals can't come out because people are scared. You know, because people, they torment you. They'll make their life a living hell. But thank you for the people who have stood up and came out tonight. And I just want to personally say thank you, Principal Gates. Yes. For your dedication. We appreciate you.
The next brother I'm gonna bring up he's everything. He is the loin of G2. He's the loin of the East. He understands this community. He's a product of this community. He thinks he's a better MC than I am, but we're gonna save that for another time. But he's my brother from another mother. Put our hands together for another community leader, Mr. Marlon Rice.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. I can't. Hold on. I'm gonna wait till the ambulance go by, because now that I want to not use the bullhorn, see the devil's working all the time. Right? Let it pass. So I'm not gonna repeat all of the amazing things that the community has said about our brother Mims. Instead, I'm gonna tell y'all a story. Can y'all hear me in the back?
Yes.
So on May 9th of this year, we're gonna celebrate 57 years since the Ocean Hill Brownfield strike of 1968. Now, at the center of the strike was community control of the school system. Right? 57 years ago, they were fighting the same thing. Out of the Ocean Hill Brownsfield strike came three very important institutions. The African American Teachers Association, the African American Students Association, and then the East, which was the most impactful black nationalist organization in America. Out of the idea of community control came community empowerment. Basically, as a community, we control what we want to see in our systems. We want to have control and say so over our superintendents, over our principals, over our doctors, over our bankers, over our real estate brokers, right? Yes. So community empowerment became pervasive in black communities. From the Ocean Hill Brownsville strike, our community seen an ascension in self-determination that lasted 50 years. When I was raised under the cloak of community empowerment. They asked on Facebook, when's the first time you had a black teacher? And some of my people from the South, they'll say, oh, well, I ain't have a black professor, black teacher until 9th grade. My name is Marlon Rice. I didn't have a white teacher until 8th grade. I attended Concord Elementary School, founded by Gardner C. Taylor. My principal was his wife, Miss Taylor. And we had all black teachers. When I went to Satellite East in my 7th grade, I ain't have not one white teacher. My first white teacher was Mr. Modlin. He taught science in 8th grade. My point is, I'm a child of community empowerment. I am the what my ancestors dreamt about.
That's right.
When they said no. When they said, yo, you know what? Nah, I'm not having it. Let me tell you what's happened. We've fallen asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about y'all are here. I'm talking about us in a collective sense. And so what happens when you fall asleep? The devil comes once again. Let me tell you something. When Mims took the job, August of 2022, I held his first community meet and greet at Restoration.
Yeah.
A former superintendent, Raisha Amen, contacted me and said, listen, this guy's about to take the job. I want you to meet the guy. Now, I ain't nobody that people need to meet, but she thought it prudent for us to meet. I said, listen, I want you to get to know the communities. So I'm going to bring you to Restoration, the hub of community empowerment, right? He was aligned, I was aligned. We both children of the same construct. He went to Little Sun People. Right?
His mother
So-
took over City College, Black Studies.
So when we talked, when I met him, I realized he was tribe. We did the community meet and greet. Out of that community meet and greet, he hit the ground running. Community partnerships,
Yeah.
community-based organizations. The man had unequivocal support
Yeah.
in community. I'm not going to be long-winded, but this is my point. What they're doing is they're attacking us, and they are looking for us to not have a community voice. Community voices are very important. If somebody slaps you and you don't say nothing, you're probably going to get slapped again.
Right.
Right? And so in this moment, we've gotten slapped. I can't take it. I'm telling you, the conversations that I've had over the last couple of days have been trying.
Yeah.
My energy's low. I got some Sheila G and sea moss in my bag because I need some help because this has been a very stressful time.
Yeah, dude.
But I'll tell you what we're not going to do. We're not going to let our voices be unheard. And I'm going to tell you why you can't do it. It's the same reason they ain't do it in 1968. Because you set a real fucked up precedent when you allow systems to dictate to you what's going to go on in your community and you don't say nothing about it.
Right.
And so if for nothing else, this is a moment. I can't guarantee you another moment like this. That's why I'm here. Because this is a moment. If we don't stand up for Brendan Mims, who was exemplary,
Yeah.
he wasn't good. Barry's good. He wasn't great. I'm great. He was exemplary.
Yeah.
And if we don't use our voices to let the system know that we won't have it, we won't have another chance. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm worried. I'm worried because even the superintendent that comes next, if we don't abide by this, the same shit'll happen.
That's right. That's right.
Like they not gonna be like, oh, okay. Right? The same shit'll happen. And so it's time as a community to stand on principles. Like the young kids say, stand on business.
Standing on business.
Business. Right? And if there's one thing that needs to happen in this community is they gotta bring back Mims.
Bring back Mims.
Back then.
Bring back Mims.
It was a very important question, and if anybody still has any questions after hearing the speakers tonight, please ask them now. We do not want you to leave away from this moment having thoughts about whatever it is that you've heard. If you need to know what the next step is, if you didn't get a copy of the toolkit, or you have it and you want to know how to use it, please ask those questions now, because we have to be consistent in this movement. We have to sustain this movement. We absolutely need for each and every one of you to be engaged, but we believe in the power of 5. Look at your phone, the last 5 people that you talked to, send this information to you. My chief of staff is back there. He's got the QR code. You can take that, share it, make a picture of it, send it to those 5 people. Say activate in this moment, because this literally is all of us at this particular point. To the points that were being made earlier, this is not just about me noticing that this was getting out of hand and that we were about to lose a treasure. This is not just about Mims needing to be in this community and help us out. It is about the collective struggle of people who have tried to hold this community together for years, for decades. To hold it together despite got off the train from Albany just before this. This budget is still isn't done. So I still can't come back to you and tell you how we are going to fund this school, that school, and District 16, 17, and 13, and 14, which are all in my portfolio. So I need you all to be the voice of the people. I tell people all the time, I got 3 things. My job requires 3 things. It requires me to listen to you. So if you're not talking to me, somebody else is talking to my colleagues and they're getting what they need. I use your voice to determine what we fight for in that budget. I use your voice to write legislation to improve our quality of life. That is my job. That's the job that you sent me here to do. This is the job that your taxes pay for me to do. Even though now we're not getting paid, this budget ain't getting paid. I pay my rent. So, what I'm saying is, we need you all to stand strong in this moment. So, sister, if you want to ask your question, brother, if you want to ask your question, please ask it now, so we do not leave here with any questions on our heart. Because we got to move right now. We have to move in unison, and we've got to move with purpose. Anybody?
I think
The church people saying, is there one? Yes. Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
But before you even speak,
That's my sister
we
right
can't
there.
just
You gotta
have you come up
introduce
like you just regular. So for those of you who don't know, this was Brenda Mims' right hand when it came to. No, I'm gonna say because I called her this morning and I had to do a check. And oftentimes we think about the leader, but there's people that was in his office that actually did all of the connecting and all of the groundwork, right? Like Brendan had the task of having the vision and pushing forth the work. But this sister here, along with a few others, they made sure that all of the organizations stayed connected. I mean, like, every week we would have a goddamn Zoom call.
And we still will. And will.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I want y'all to just pay close attention. This is Principal Omotayo. I always say Tayo, I'm sorry. And she's been in education for a number of years, and we just got to give her the grace and the floor. Yes.
I appreciate it. That's a wonderful introduction. I had another place to go, but I had to make sure I stopped by, and I don't know why. But okay. I am the person who's responsible for attendance in District 16. So for all you parents out here who are going on vacation, make sure your babies are back in school on Monday. Come on, that's number 1. But my name is Omotayo Cole-Sinius, and my mother told me don't say anything when I came over here, but I couldn't help myself, right? It's very difficult when you sit on the line, because we work for the Department of Education, and the Department of Education is also doing this thing. So in that space, it's a very uncomfortable place. For those who are with us on Monday evening, as I explained, I've been doing this for 30 years. I'm at the year of retirement, so if they tell me that I've talked too much, said too much, done too much, June will be my last days, and I will take my little pension and go on, right? But I say all of this to say, this is not about the superintendent that is coming versus Brendan Mims. This is about policy. And the reason that we are in this space is because there's not an equitable policy to ensure these kinds of things that do not happen. There are a few of us that are standing in this space right now who have experienced something similar. And in experiencing it, it was the same way. There's no storyline. Somebody comes in, they tell you that's it, and then you move on. And the hope is that you get tired, that you don't want to do it, you don't want to push, you don't want to have a conversation, and that they will just continue to do the same. They'll move somebody else in, and then after they move that person in, until they decide they don't want that person will be moved out. I stand here, yes, as a member of the Board of Education, or the Department of it, that tells you my time, right? If I'm saying board, right? But I'm also a pastor of a church in Long Island. I'm also a member of Delta Rho Omega Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. I'm also the parliamentarian for the AME Ministerial Alliance, so I stand here as that person as well. I'm also the mother of 2 children who are one in college, one in high school, and I'm also somebody who's worked in District 13, District 16, and District 28. So the work that I've done speaks for itself. But I'm here to let everybody who's in this space know that the fight doesn't stop because we're standing out on Lafayette Avenue rallying, right? It's not about being loud. It's about being strategic and being intentional. So the work that we have to do from this point going forward is not just about, yay, Brendan Mims. It's how do we change policy to ensure these kinds of things do not happen again. Brendan Mims needs to come out on top of this, period, the end. And whatever God has for him is what God has for him. But I want to be clear that, as Brother Marlon just said, that we will be standing here having another rally in another 3 years if people do not push for policy to change. That's not any one person's fault. That's the system that has been in place since Tweed, since Board Tweed. But we could have a history lesson on that at another time. But all of those pieces have to be very clear to people to ensure that the conversation is not about one person. It's about how do we impact the system in such a way to change policy so that we're not standing up with signs that says bring Mims back. All right? So that was my 2 cents on that.
And echoing that, we're very strategic. I don't know if Eddie is around. Oh, Eddie, can you show that sign up? So, what's on that is the toolkit. We have put together an extensive gamut of information, text, blurbs, email, sayings. You can take that information and you can send it out to first-year people. But tomorrow's Friday, we have on this toolkit, we have an image of our good beloved Mayor Adams. We're going to be blasting that and tagging New York City Mayor Adams all over our social media platforms. We have a call line for his office on there. We are asking people to call in and express their concerns and ask questions. Because here's the thing, in this system, the person who made that final decision is our now Chancellor Ramos. So the only boss that she has is our mayor. Chancellor Ramos, unfortunately, doesn't seem like she wants to budge. She feels like her decision is final, and she did not come and speak to the community. I don't know Chancellor Ramos, so I can't speak about her character. All I know is that she made this mistake, and we need to help her undo this mistake. So, tomorrow, if you don't have the QR code, you all got here by some way. So that means that somebody's going to get a text message around 1 o'clock, and we're going to do it. We're going to keep doing it all the way until Easter Sunday. We're going to give them a little pause because we're going to go pray with Pastor Waterman.
That's right.
But come Monday, when our kids got to roll into school because they got to take tests, we will be outside. And we will let them know that we are not playing. We are not playing with this situation because, as it's been echoed ad nausea, if this happens now, it continues to happen. And it impacts all of us. Whether you white, whether you black in this community, all our children go to school together.
That's right.
So if black students are at a disadvantage, that means that white students become at a disadvantage. So I want us to be clear in our movement that this is about unification of quality education.
Yeah.
Right.
Unification of quality education, and Mr. Mims, Principal Mims, Superintendent Mims did just that. And here's the thing, if it's a situation where they say the decision is final, the next thing that we will fight for in the midst of all of this is if you decide to move them out, move them up. Make him deputy superintendent because he has the qualifications and he moved the district forward.
Bring them back. People best out in for District 16 because if you don't know, baby, you're missing out. I mean, there's some plans that you have probably never seen before. When he's integrated the businesses into the schools, equipping the parents, he's getting the community ready, he's positioning us, right? So when you say get on your mark, he's getting us on our mark. And that's what he was doing. And we were about to get set. And we was something that he wanted to implement into the schools. Getting the parents equipped. You understand? We don't have it all together. But we know one thing, that the children's education will be better when the parents are better too. You understand? So he wasn't just worried about that. He also wanted to make sure that what at home was going on good, so that way the children can perform. And so this is something that we're acting like they said, strategically, we're gonna have to push for. If we want this, we're gonna have to show them that we stand in our business this time around.
Everybody got a toolkit?
You got the toolkit?
Get the toolkit.
Like drew it on.